So my entrepreneur journey really started when I was really, really young. I grew up on a golf course and I would go pick up golf balls and I would sell them to the local sporting goods store. I was like 5 years old. Fast forward to when I was 16, I did a paper route, which technically had to buy the papers, resell them to the customers, and deliver them, right? So there's a little bit of entrepreneurship there.
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. As always, I have an incredible guest with me today that I'm very excited to get to talk to, learn from, and connect with. But before I introduce him to you, I want to ask you for a favor. I want to ask you that if you get something out of this interview, if you get some type of value, a skill, an insight, knowledge or information, or the inspiration to go out and keep on moving forward towards your goals, or maybe make a sale or something, I wanted to ask you to please share this episode with 10 friends. Share the episode on social media, share it on Facebook, on Instagram, share the link on Messenger, send it to a friend, share it with 10 friends. And this is how we grow. This is how we're able to share our message and motivate, inspire, and bless other men and women out there to tap into their God-given potential and change their lives. And today I have Cory Berrier.
Yep.
Help me with.
You got
Berrier.
it.
There you go, man. Cory Berrier. He's a sales CEO, and which is a boutique coaching firm specializing in sales development. Cory Berrier has over 30 years of experience training individuals and teams on high-performance sales processes. I don't know how you say that. The sales CEO uses a proprietary system to guide businesses to higher sales results, focusing on every aspect of the process. A hands-on approach is used with feedback provided throughout the entire sales process, which helps clients to achieve results faster. So in short, this guy is a sales genius, probably one of the best, if not the best salesperson in the world, right? Because, Natalie is also there. So, it's kind of like, I couldn't take the decision.
Yeah.
So, brother, thank you very much for being here, man. I really appreciate your time, and you are welcome, Cory.
My pleasure, brother. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm super excited to jam with you. I think we're going to have a pretty strong conversation, dude. And I think I could take Bradley. That's what I think.
Awesome, bro. Yeah. Probably, right? Yeah. No, yeah. I would like, if it was like a game, I would love to see that. Yeah. But man, the first thing that I ask my guests to do is I tell them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
Wow. Well, hopefully you got a timer.
Yeah.
So my entrepreneur journey really started when I was really, really young. I grew up on a golf course and I would go pick up golf balls and I would sell them to the local sporting goods store. I was like 5 years old. Fast forward to when I was 16, I did a paper route, which technically had to buy the papers, resell them to the customers, and deliver them, right? So there's a little bit of entrepreneurship there. Where it really kicked in, though, is where I started selling drugs, if I'm being honest with you. That's where I cut my teeth. That's where I learned everything. Because when you could take a product like cocaine, break it down, and sell it and make a bunch of profit on it, it does keep it. It's no different than if I'm selling milk and you're breaking it down and selling it to smaller cartons, right? It's the same exact difference. So that ended naturally. And we'll get to that. And then I went on to open, I had a little bit of a rough time in 2005, which again, we'll get to that. But I went to go work for a gym and realized that I was there selling memberships. Well, I was selling the crap out of them. So what I realized is that the trainers were making all the money and I was selling all the stuff. I was selling all their stuff. And so I realized this is stupid. Like, why don't I just sell my own stuff and become a trainer and I'll figure the training out, which is exactly what I did. And then fast forward 5 years, I opened my own training facility. I sold that in 2017 and opened up a testosterone replacement clinic. We'll get into that story later as well. That went sideways and I fell into a pretty deep depression. And then I started working with business owners because I started coaching business owners. I've been coaching people throughout this whole time, by the way. I coached people on the gym floor. I also worked with, I also handled my employees, right? So it was a lot of different things when it comes to coaching. And you know this, it doesn't really matter what you do. You have to coach your employees if you expect them to be good employees, And so, and here we are, right? So you've already read off the whole bio, but essentially all that means is I am a subject matter expert in sales systems and processes, and I work with tradespeople. So I work with construction salespeople, and the reason I work with construction salespeople is because I cuss a lot, and they don't care. Yeah. So, and quite frankly, I understand their problems, and I don't understand their problems because I'm a tradesman. I'm nowhere near a tradesman. And I'll be honest with you, this was a real struggle for me, not being from that industry. And the struggle was like, I'm a sales guy. I know how to teach anybody how to do anything they want to do in sales, whether it's negotiation, it doesn't matter what it is. And so that's what I bring to the table. I don't need to know how to sling a hammer to tell you how to sell a roof, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
But that's where my brain was stuck for quite some time. Like I felt like, well, Corey, you don't have the industry knowledge. Like they're going to ask you, I don't need to know the industry knowledge. I have the industry knowledge that you don't, right? If I'm talking to a trades guy, they're really good at plumbing a toilet. They're really good at putting a air conditioning unit in. They suck ass at selling. And so that's where I've kind of planted my flag in. And so that's where we're at right now. And I'll share some more about some stuff that's coming up that is just, you and I were talking about God previously, right? About it before we started. And the things that have happened, it's just a God thing, dude. It's all like, I'm a big God. I believe in God, right? I believe in the universe. I believe in something bigger than me. I don't really know what it is or what it looks like. I don't really care. I just know that there's something out there that has saved my butt a bunch of times.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
man. Well, let's see. There's a lot to get into, right? From there, and from here. But let's talk about God, man. Right? And not to like get religious or anything, right? I don't believe like that talking about God is religious unless you bring in religion, right? Which is losing its power just because of all the stories that God has been wrapped around in when it comes to religion, right? Which makes sense because we've learned through stories, but now like there's no need there's no need to believe that someone that a man who was his own dad came to save us because of a sin that is in your body, because of a woman and a man who ate from a tree that they weren't supposed to eat from because of a talking snake, right? Like those stories is what like makes religion controversial. And now like Mexico and United countries go to war to see like whose version of that label is right? So
that's right.
I don't believe that talking about God is religious, right?
No.
I believe that bringing in religion is what religious. But yeah, there's definitely something bigger. And like I was telling you, right? Like I have this calling, bro. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like even if I didn't want to do what I'm doing right now, like there would be something, and I wouldn't be able to live. Like I wouldn't be able to like live, right?
But let me ask you though, when this whole thing, and I know it's been pulling at you, and I don't know how long it is since you actually started the brand, but did you feel like And this will determine whether you're in the right spot or not. Did it feel like everything just worked out exactly the way it was supposed to at the exact right time? And it was almost weird that it worked out like it did. And this is why.
Nothing worked out until I started listening.
That's it.
Until I stopped trying to do everything my way.
Yeah. That's exactly where I was going with that. God has an interesting way of getting our attention, right? And if you pay attention to and are aware of what's going on around us, right? You can look at religion and you could think, well, okay, so wait a minute. Let me just scroll back. Probably gonna piss some people off when I say this. And look, I believe in something. I don't know exactly if you don't care what you call it, but you can't tell me that there couldn't be something a little bit sketchy with the fact that we're believing a story that somebody else is telling us. Now, how often do you, at this age in 2022, after the garbage that's been going on the last 2 years, and I'm not getting into politics, but I don't know about you, I don't trust anything I see. Like, I don't trust anybody, I don't trust anything, because ultimately, who knows if it's a lie? We don't even know. There's been so much. I don't trust anything. It's really hard for me to, when I see things that are just not right. When I see something, and we talked about this earlier, incongruency. If I see that if you're telling me one thing, and I can read on your face that it is entirely something different, and I can read people's facial expressions and body language. I sit and watch some of this stuff, and I'm like, I'm just waiting for them to crack or to smirk or to do the smallest micro expression. And that tells me exactly what's going on in their brain, because guess what? You can have a poker face, but you can't have a poker body. Your body won't lie. In other words, if I'm telling you a lie and I'm saying, let's just pretend for a second, if I didn't like your logo, for example, and I was telling you, yeah, dude, I really like your logo, right? I really do. Well, and pay attention. You'll see this with people. Now that I've pointed it out to you, pay attention when people say stuff to you and see which way their head's moving. That'll tell you if they're telling you the truth or not. Fact.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool skill to have, because that's a skill, right? You can learn that.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's definitely something, man. Right. So I believe you were going to tell me, right? Like, why did we start talking about this? Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you, you did. And I'll tell you why, because I said, because I mentioned there's a God thing happened. And so what happened was about 4 weeks ago, let's call it, I was going through a rough time. Like, it was one of those days where you feel like somebody's got their foot on your throat. It feels like the marbles in your head are just rolling around and you just can't stop them. Or maybe you don't have those days, but I have those days where sometimes I feel like I wish I could just pull every hair out of my head. I don't have those days often, but when I have them, I'm ready just to turn the world upside down because I'm mad. And I'm mad at me. I'm mad at something. I don't know what it is. And so the other day, about a month ago, I dumped all the stuff that was going on in my brain onto Facebook, right? And I just talked about how, at one point I bought followers and I was just transparent. Like, I don't care, dude. I'm tired of caring. Like, I'm tired of caring really what people think, because it doesn't really matter what you think or what anybody really thinks, because it really matters what I think. Anyway, I got way off on a crazy little tangent there, but the point is, after dumping that stuff on the internet, one of the things that I said on there was that I was a felon, right? I have no shame in saying that. Like, I got caught with 4 ounces of cocaine. Well, I'll tell you about that in a minute, but I included that in the post because that's just what I was feeling, all these emotions. And this guy reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I want you to sell this." And I won't go into what it is, but he said, "I want you to sell this product." And I said, "I don't sell products. I don't sell other people's stuff. I sell my stuff. I don't sell other people's stuff." And he was like, "All right." And he just kept talking with me, and I can't remember exactly the conversation. I finally said, look, dude, he said something that piqued my interest. And I said, look, dude, I halfway believed that he was even who he said he was. And so I said, just jump on Zoom with me. And he was like, well, I mean, like, I got stuff to do. I can't do it right now. Long story short, we got on Zoom and he presented this opportunity that I'm going to be in front of about 17,000 contractors as the contractor coach, right?
Okay.
Because that is what I am. And in other words, like, here's how I want you to look at this. Imagine if you got the phone call and your target audience, whoever the hell that is, doesn't matter. If I called you and I said, hey, I got 17,000 people, your target audience that are waiting on my platform that nobody else has access to except for you to sell them your program. Doesn't that be a dream come true?
That would be crazy. Yeah.
Crazy. And he wants to pay me for selling the app. He's going to pay me to sell the app, and he's going to pay me to sell my program. We're going to split the program price, and then I get to keep, I still have my separate program. Like this is not something that happened by accident, dude. Like I'm getting to the point. Sorry, I'm ADHD. You just have to reel me in sometimes.
Yeah.
The point is that he read on there that I was a felon, and they only work with felons. Now, isn't that crazy?
Damn.
This thing that has plagued me forever. I don't really think about it anymore, but ultimately it's still on my record, right? It's still there. Like, I don't care. I don't care if you know, I don't care if anybody knows. I don't care. But it's still there. And so it's still that mark I get to carry around. Now, I did the crime. I should carry the mark around. I did it. Like, I never said I didn't do it. But how ironic, such a disaster in 2005 to happen that has really, I thought, plagued me since then, just about.
That was your gift.
That was the gift.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So, bro, remember I told you I had a sales call and then a call with my sales king. Well, I'm looking for kings, right? So there's 3 levels of entrepreneurship, I believe. Solopreneur, which is everyone starts, you start trying to do everything yourself, and then you get stuck, and then you burn out, and then you fail. Right? So solopreneur. And then you can evolve to being a king, right? Like, in which you build a team and you start like building hiring people so that you can delegate stuff and they can help you. And that's a king. And then you're a big thinker. And I think that my gift, bro, is thinking big. My gift is like thinking big, and my gift is solving problems, coming up with solutions, and leading. Like, I'm really bad at everything else, but I'm really good at those 2 things. And I'm looking for kings, right? Because I'm looking to build a marketing team, a sales team. I already have a recruiting agency and then a leadership development agency. And I already have a marketing king, right? That we're building a marketing team with. And I'm looking for a sales king. And I met him today, right? He reached out to me. We were talking, and he was like aligned with my mission and everything that I'm doing. And he was looking for me. He talked to me. I listened to him. And then I was like, yeah, man, like, I actually have this course. I'll give it to you for free. And he was like, bro, you're the opportunity that I've been praying for. And I was thinking the same thing. I was like, and you are the opportunity that I've been praying for. But we kept on talking. I like sold them into my into my service. And then after I sold them into my service and he paid me, right? I told him about this king opportunity, and we're ready to go, man. Right? He like it was crazy. It's like everything is happening like how it's supposed to be happening. And if you realize that everything will happen the way it's supposed to be happening, you just trust the process. There's no reason to like be overwhelmed or frustrated or sad or anything like that, right?
Yeah, I think that, well, I know this to be true for me. When you say trust the process, the problem is somebody else's process. I have to trust somebody else's process in order to see my own process. And the problem with that is I don't trust somebody else's process. right? And so I'm not saying you're wrong by any stretch. I agree with what you're saying. But I think where people get stuck is that it's not their own process and they have a hard time putting your process in my head, right? So think about this. When you explain something to someone, you're explaining it from your standpoint, right?
Yeah.
Naturally. So 66% of the time, we're not talking to people like us. So that should change. Like, think about that. How 66% of the time, people are not hearing what we're saying because we're talking from our point of view. And the number one thing in sales is people buy for their reasons, not yours.
Mm-hmm.
You got to sell for the customer. You got to sell to what they want. They're not buying for what you want as the salesperson. You don't drive on a car lot and say, "Hey, car guy, pick out whatever you want, and I'll just buy it and take it home." Right? That's ridiculous.
No. Mm-hmm. So how do you do that? How do you what's the key to be able to tap into that other person's perspective then?
Well, so you gotta not be eye-centered, right? And it's really hard it's really hard to try to explain something to someone if you're not conscious about this, right? So if I tell you a story, you could probably count how many times I say I in my stories, right? But I'm telling you about something about me. And so actually I should be saying it about you. So here's what you would want to do. And here's how you would want to do this for your future customers or clients or whoever it is you'd like to use this for, to put yourself in their position and to make sure that they feel like you're present with them as you speak to them. What kind of car were you looking for today? What kind of car would you like me to show you today? What about this house fits you and your family? What about this house do you feel like you could see yourself in? And so what you're doing is you're painting a picture of a feeling to a degree, right? And so if you could paint that feeling, how's it going to feel? Like you mentioned having the backyard and the pool. How's it going to feel like is it safe to assume you're going to throw parties at the pool? Well, not really. We're really a private family and we really like the privacy. How's it going to feel to know that you're completely enclosed in your backyard with nobody can see you? How's that going to feel? Pretty freeing, I bet, right?
Yeah.
And so you just paint the picture so they can feel what it's going to be like. So they can feel what your product or service is. Even if you're selling plumbing, it doesn't matter, right? There's still a feeling associated with it. There's a reactive buyer, right? Well, I guess this is any industry, but specifically in the trades, I run across this a lot, right? So you have a proactive buyer and you have a reactive buyer. The difference in the two, right? If you've got a busted hot water heater and it's spewing water, and you got a husband that's proactive, and you got a wife that's reactive, which one's going to win? The reactive one, because they're freaking the hell out because there's water everywhere. Now, if there's, I think the hot water might be getting not as hot anymore. We need to call a plumber, right? The proactive guy is going to say, we probably don't need to buy that $5,000 hot water heater right now. We probably should just wait till next year. The reactive person, right? You're not going to sell to the reactive person because it's not a reactive situation. It's a proactive situation. And you've got to be aware of that, because if not, you're going to sell to the wrong person. You're going to sell to the crazy woman who's trying to fix everything in the house and her husband's like, that ain't happening, dude. No. But if you just speak to him, he's the one that's going to make the decision in this scenario. Not because he's the guy, because he's the one that's cool, calm, and collective. Right?
Cool. Yeah, that was a great insight. So, man, I just want to drill this in, a little bit deeper, selfishly, and because I believe this would be of a lot of value to the audience. So let's say that and I hope everyone understood, right? So you have a reactive situation in which it's crucial that you make a decision now, right? Then it would be really easily to sell that reactive person. But if, let's say you're selling sales, right? You're selling sales coaching and you're selling someone who is having a good time sales, they're having a good time. They're selling well. They're doing good numbers. So they got to take it. They got to be proactive, right? Let's say that they want to increase their sales. They want to get better. like in the future. So that's a proactive approach because they could take a decision, right, to get better, or they could not. They're doing good, right, quote unquote. So how do you sell a proactive buyer?
So one, you got to know who you got to know, you got to ask the right questions to figure out if they're proactive or reactive, right? And so you can ask simple questions like, when's the last time you had an emergency like this, right? I use the word emergency for a reason because you're going to associate that with reactive.
Okay.
And if I want you to go the reactive way, then I'll say emergency. Or when you know what? You seem like a pretty proactive guy. This probably could have been prevented if you'd have gotten our preventative plan after we finish fixing your problem today. We'll just go ahead and get you on that preventative plan because now you won't have to worry about this problem again. We'll just come out twice a year and take care of it for you, right? Unless if it's something that needs to be fixed then, right?
Cool. Those were good questions. And yeah, so that's how you. So do you sell a proactive person or do you make that proactive person reactive?
Great question. It's a really great question. So, lots of times as salespeople, we want to give people a deadline. And why do you think we give people a deadline? Because we want them to move. Right. We want them to move when we want them to move.
Reactive.
Right. Is that customer facing? Nope. That's selfish, right? I want you to close by this deadline, right? That's it, right? But that has nothing to do with you. You're the one that has the money, right? So if I'm giving you a deadline, how does that make you feel? Defensive immediately. Maybe not immediately, but it very well could be. It all depends on it. This is all subjective, right? It depends on the scenario. I forgot what I was saying, damn it.
So the deadline, reactive, proactive.
Yeah. So if you're going to move like here's a great example. Like sometimes sales cycles are longer. I mean, this is something that I'm having to get used to personally because my consulting is $50,000 to $100,000, and so it's not like somebody's just going to whip out a check or a credit card to pay me $100,000. Some people can, some people will, but not the people I'm dealing with, right? These people need time to figure out, like, who am I? Am I going to do this thing? Do they believe I'm going to do this thing? Because if any of those things don't line up, I don't need to do the job, right? I'm not going to pitch somebody, or I'm not going to give someone a proposal if I don't know for a fact I can deliver on that proposal for a fact. The way I do that I probably went way off. Sorry about that. But the way I know for a fact is I only price it out for what I know 100% that I can bring them the money back. Right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So man, right. That was great. Like I just learned a lot. Thanks, man. And it's been very valuable. We've been here for a couple of minutes. And I want to go into your story, right? But what I like to do first is I like to go into what people got going on right now. Like I interview pretty successful people, and I like to go into what people got going on right now so that other people are like, well, that's Cory Berrier. Like, that's him. Like he's smart. He's cool. That couldn't be me. And then boom, you're like, well, I wasn't always like this. But before I ask about your story, like you have a book, right? The 9 Simple Steps to Sell More Shit. So
yes.
Could you like walk me through those 9 steps? Yeah. Hey, sorry for the interruption. Real quick, do you want to know how I've been using my podcast to build a multi-million-dollar network with over 100 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs? Reach hundreds of my ideal clients with my message, coaching, service, and podcast. Get invited to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months alone. Go to my own events and have over 100 successful entrepreneurs being willing to speak at my events. Become a millionaire in 1 year, get mentored by multimillionaires, and achieve goals that I thought were going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year, and ultimately get unstuck and make quantum leaps of progress in my business and life with less than 1 hour of work just by being myself. If you answered yes to any of those, I just want to invite you to a free training showing you how I've been able to build a multi-million-dollar network that is helping me achieve bigger income goals faster with only 1 hour of speaking and just being myself. To be honest, I thought I was going to be a multi-millionaire, speak on stages, throw my own events, and live a successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and impact in 10 years from now. That seemed so far away, but my podcast has been able to help me do that in less than 6 months. I'm actually doing all of that this year at the age of 21 with my podcast. I'm reaching thousands of people with my message, my service, my podcast, my coaching. I've gotten booked to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months. And on these stages, I'm going to be getting in front of hundreds of my ideal clients, making roughly around 15 to 30K plus per event. Not only that, I have a network of over 100 high-level, multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs who have all agreed to speak at my events. Getting clients is a problem of the past. I've gotten the opportunities to learn from billionaires, and I'm collapsing decades of time, and I'm literally achieving what I thought was going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year. All of this because I use podcasting as a networking tool, and I leveraged a rare concept called the cloak track. And I want the exact same thing for you. Just imagine where you could be in 1 year from now if you get this free training right now. That is why I'm inviting you to this training. On this short training, you're going to learn how a small group of purpose-driven entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, course creators, and speakers have combined podcasting with this rare concept called the cloak track to build a multi-million-dollar network, reach thousands of their ideal clients with their message, books, courses, coaching, make an extra $118,800, get booked on 10 stages, and build a successful network of entrepreneurs who speak on their stage, all of this in under 6 months. I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps to make this work. Step number 1, alignment. Getting clear on who you want to be, what you want to do, your goals, your purpose, and aligning all of this with building your podcast and your ideal podcast guest. Step number 2, leveraging the cloak track to find your ideal podcast guest and never running out of them. Step number 3, leveraging the cloak track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4, the content machine. The content machine is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. And I'm going to show you all of those 4 steps. The link to access this free training is in the description of this video. Click on it and go watch this training right now so that you can learn how you can too build a multi-million-dollar network that helps you achieve bigger goals faster and with less effort. Note, this training is only available to 18 people, so act right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 9 steps, actually, no, I'm not going to walk you through the 9 steps. Why would I do that? Dude, you got to download the book. I want people to download the book. Yeah, like, wait a minute, I'm getting ready to give everything away. No, you got to go get the book. The download's free, or spend the $6.99 on the hardcover, which is not actually available yet. But either way, you can download the book for free. I'm not going to, some books like this big, like it's like 50 pages. Anybody can read it.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
So then awesome. So yeah, I learned something else. Damn. Right? So then go ahead.
I was just going to say, lots of times, normally I would have just went ahead and given that to you. But that's a real problem of mine, is that why would I do that? Right? Like, because sometimes I don't really think about, well, you wrote the book so people would get it so they could learn something. But if you give them all the 9 steps here, this is just an example, by the way. But this is why I don't do free coach. I do not work with people for free, because here's what happens. If you let's just say you and I meet for a discovery call, and I give you a couple of breakthroughs, and you go try them. Anything I've talked about on this podcast, you're not going to be able to execute as well as I can. Right? Period. And I can say that, and you're going to say it doesn't work because you went out and tried it halfway, and you said, "Oh, listen to that dude, sales dude. He's an idiot." So I've learned, and I've had to learn the hard way, dude. I've lost big contracts because I just sometimes give people just a little bit more than I need to give them before they sign the line. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, that's a great lesson, man.
It's a hard lesson.
I hope people take it right. I hope people take it the right way, and like, instead of being like, "Oh, this guy didn't give me the 9 steps to like sell more shit. Well, I hope they take it as a lesson, right? So that was amazing. I thought that it was really valuable. Um, so bro, you have ADHD. You mentioned it quite some time. So tell me about that.
It's great. That's a great lead in, actually. So the whole reason that I started writing the book was because I discovered about, I don't know, probably 10 or 11 months ago now, that it wasn't that I discovered I had ADHD. I've known that since I was 8 years old. And I've been taking medicine since I was 8 years old, but I didn't know the issues that come along with this. I didn't know that, for example, like when you see me, when I forget what I'm saying, that's an ADHD thing. And sometimes I'll just blank out. I'll forget where I'm at currently, but then you say one word and I'm right back on track. And so normally, and I didn't do this with you, normally I have a conversation. I tell people right from the beginning, and I'm going to tie this into an excellent story. I tell people at the beginning, look, if you can't, if I lose my place, just give me the last couple of words that I said, and I'll be right back on track. Now, what did I do right there? Think about that. Let me say it again. Let me see if you catch what I did. So if I say, I need you to pay attention to the last 2 to 3 words that I say, in case I blank out, I need your help. Can you help me?
Yeah. You asked
right?
the question.
Yeah. So this is what I really did. What I really did is I got you to listen to every single word that I say. Because you don't want to let me down.
So
right?
then ADHD is your like sales superpower now.
You got it.
Cool,
bro. Here's
so
the superpower about it.
Even though if I don't have ADHD?
Well, you never know. You may have it. You never know.
Okay, cool.
Good. Let me tell you why I say that. Not for you in particularly, but have you ever read the book by Gino Wickman? I think it's called. I'll figure it out. I will remember, or I'll look at my phone, one of the two. Actually, let me just do that now before I forget. But have you ever heard of that guy, Gino Wickman?
Something like that, yeah, for sure.
All right, so it's called, you're going to love this because you described something very similar to this earlier in the conversation. So the name of the book is Rocket Fuel. Yep.
I just got it because, someone told me to get it because I was telling them that my gift is thinking big and leading. And he was like, man, you should get Rocket Fuel, right?
That book is going to make so much sense to you. You have no idea. You're going to be like, dude, should I feel bad for knowing this information? Because here's what you're going to find in there. Well, I don't know about you, but for me, I have a lot of ideas and they're great ideas. But the problem is if I don't write it down immediately,
you forget them. You get another
I'll probably forget it. Yeah. And it's gone. And I can't tell you how many ideas probably have been lost that way. And so this guy, he's got somebody that's by his side all the time. So he just says he's got somebody that executes those ideas or says this is not a good idea. Right? Imagine having that person in your life. If you could just create, right? If you could just do the things that you are so freaking good at and everything else, you don't have to touch any of it. And that's currently the position. I'm not quite there, but I'm getting close.
Well, that's what I'm doing, bro. And I did it like intuitively, right? Intuitively, but I bet that I'm going to get like a lot of insights from this book. But I have a staffing agency that I don't run, right? And then I have a marketing king now, right? And then it's just about helping people get what they want. It's just about love, bro. Like if you love yourself, you'll do everything in your power to like take care of yourself and to like invest in yourself and to like help yourself get what you want, right? And it's about love. And if you love other people, like you mentioned earlier, that if you want, your employees to like employees, you got to coach your employees, right? And I have weekly group coaching calls with my employees to talk about their problems so that I can solve them, help them solve them. And today I had 2 coaching calls with employees to talk about what they're going through, right? So, and that is like, I intuitively knew this for some reason. And I like this marketing king that I have, like what he wants is to build a marketing agency. He's been failing. I have the knowledge and the skills to like help him build his marketing agency. So we partner up, right? And we both win.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? I mean, let me ask you something. Has anything ever been built great that that was one person built it? No, nothing.
So yeah, I'm definitely anyone out there, right? This is basically visionary and integrator. That's what it talks about. I haven't read it, but I've heard of it, right? And it makes total sense. But I guess that I'm sure that going through it is gonna like I'm definitely going to get a lot of insights, even if I feel, or even if you, anyone listening, feel like you already know this stuff, you probably should go and read that book because yeah,
After you read
man,
my book, of course.
who wrote this? Let's see.
Gino Wickman, I think,
Oh
or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, Gino Wickman. Well, this other book, Traction, right?
Yeah.
And there's like a by Dan Sullivan. Dan Sullivan wrote Who Not How. Bro, that book changed my life, man. Who Not How. It like gave me permission to delegate stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like if you think about it, I have marketing, I have a marketing team. I have an operations team. I have people that build out the funnels. I have a VA service. And like you got to have all that stuff. And it's really hard to wrangle all that stuff in by yourself. It's practically impossible.
Yeah. So yeah, man. It's so simple, right? It's people. It's building people. That's like the matrix of business. Focus on
Yeah.
building people, and then they will build your business.
Yeah, 100%.
You mentioned it, right?
Yeah.
You got to coach your employees.
You have to, because look, and when I say coach your employees, that is not standing up in the front of a meeting screaming at your employees. That's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like getting on the same level as they're on and understanding what it is they're going through. Like, you as the owner, you may feel like you're going broke, but compared to that employee, you're you're rich, right? And so you gotta have enough emotional intelligence to understand that, because I mean, if you can't read the room, you can't read the situation, you're not going to do very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So man, you probably didn't. You probably, I don't know. I have a feeling like you learned this the hard way, right? And you mentioned that something you had a hard time in 2005. So take me back to that and tell me a bit, like, what is it that happened that brought you to this moment?
Sure. So, 1999 and 2000, between those years, basically I got three DUIs, right? So I didn't have a license, and I was selling drugs. I was selling coke. And, I always tell people, like, I really didn't deal with a bunch of scumbags. I wasn't slinging rocks on the side of the corner. Not that makes it any better, but I don't know, it makes me feel better to say that. So, and I got caught, and it was a disaster. I almost went to prison for 42 months. Had a really good attorney, and I got really, really, really freaking lucky. Sorry about
Really,
that.
what?
Really lucky.
Logic or lucky?
What's going on? Lucky. Do you need to stop it and start it over?
All right. Like, okay.
Yeah. So in addition to the attorney, having an astronomically expensive attorney and everything working out just in my favor, I got lucky. I mean, I'll be honest, and I don't know how popular this opinion would be, but guess what, dude? Like, I'm white. That probably made a difference. I'm just being honest with you. I probably wouldn't be sitting here and I'm not saying that in any way other than just, it's not fair. I don't want to go because I am white. I don't mean it like that. But what I'm saying is, like, I feel like I got really lucky. And that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And I had to go through, I had a breathalyzer thing in my car for 7 years. And I got through all that stuff, my probation, and then the probation officer wound up doing a front page news piece on me I'm like, are you crazy? Like you're putting front, absolute. She did, but she used a different name and she took a picture from behind me. She couldn't really tell it was. I don't want people, I don't want people to know I just got through 7 years of probation. Like, I mean, people know that now, but like at the time, like I just got off of it. And so, but it was a success case. And I guess not a lot of those come through there, you know?
Yeah. So then that's what happened. And so how do you like went through that? How did you like grow from that?
So I went to a 6-month program because that was the choice the judge gave me. He gave me 48 hours. And he said, if you could find a place in 48 hours, he didn't really think I was going to find a place, I don't think. Because I was in jail. Like, how am I going to find somewhere when nobody takes collect calls? I don't know if you've ever been in jail, probably not, but it's really hard to get a collect call from somebody. And so, fortunately, my stepmother at the time helped me to get into a facility. And it was a nightmare, dude. It wasn't prison. Don't get me wrong. I've never been to prison. I don't know what it's like, but I've seen a lot of shows. And it was a nightmare because I was court ordered there, and the people knew I was court ordered there, and they also knew whatever they told me to do, I had to do, or I was going to prison. Period. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. And here's the crazy: we talked about religion earlier. We'll tie this in a bow. This was a Pentecostal holy place. And like, I don't know if you know anything about Pentecostal holiness churches. Son, you just don't even know, dude. I mean, like tongues, talking in tongues, screaming, like it is effing nuts, bro.
Damn.
And like, I had to attend that twice Sunday, once like it was just unbelievable. Anyway, it was probably a country club compared to where I could have been. Right. I am not shitting on the place. I'm really grateful that I got to go to that place. And I did get to go to that place. I wasn't made to go there. It was an opportunity, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I ain't picked up a drug since then. Like that was it for me, dude. Like I had a choice in 2009 when I got that breathalyzer out of my car. I'm sorry. When I got put that breathalyzer in my car, I set it off. You know what I'm talking about with the breathalyzer, the little thing you got to blow into?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I had that thing for 7 years. And when I first got it put in, I set it off. And if you set it off, they're supposed to take your license. Well, I thought I was invincible, of course. And so I had to go down there and explain to this lady that just gave me my license back why I set this machine off. And of course I lied to her, because if I hadn't have lied to her, she wouldn't have been able to keep my license. And I had a decision to make that day. And that decision was I could continue down the road I was going down, or I could take a right and become the person that I am today. And so I'm really happy with my choice.
Choices, bro. That's what it's all about, man. Choices, right? And so you took a choice, and then you mentioned a really good point, right? To become the person that you are now. Like a lot of people get like too like stuck or fixated on the result, or like on the result they want to have, which is not in their control, right? But if you get clear on what you want and then ask, who must I become to get there? And instead of getting fixated on the result, right? Because that can change and that is not in your control. Get fixated on who you can become, because that's in 100% your control. You can literally, do those steps and take the action to become that right now.
Yeah, no, you're right. But the problem is our minds. Like it's not even, I don't even have battles with other people. I have battles with myself. Like I have battles with myself of, do I screw around on TikTok for 30 minutes, or do I do something that's boring and mundane that needs to be done? And sometimes I'm going to choose TikTok.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not.
Of course, we're human, right? Yeah. So, and the mind, bro, the mind is so, I don't know. Like I invested in a 12K program for performance. This guy teaches about biology, psychology, leadership, and something else. I don't remember. Before the 4 human power pillars, he calls it. And we're going through nootropics right now. And he gave me a list of nootropics that I got to buy. And it's like $350. And like, I have no problem buying that, right? But I was holding myself back for some reason. Like I just have a limited belief that you shouldn't spend so much money on that kind of stuff, right? and like I could, but if I'm trying to like take my company to 7 figures, and like my day is literally filled with decisions that are worth thousands of dollars, then there should be no problem buying that, right? But it's just scarcity, man, and I think that's the main thing that holds entrepreneurs back, like scarcity. The other day I went to the mall to buy my daughter some clothes. We bought her like $1,000 worth of clothes, and then we were going back home, right, from the store, and then I was like, I told my wife, like, let's see, put one of the clothes that we bought for her on just to try it out. And bro, it was like she could swim inside of the clothes because it was like one size bigger. And I was like, fuck. We just bought $1,000 worth of clothes that is one size bigger than what she actually uses. And the reason I did that, man, is because of scarcity, bro. Like my mom, like I grew up with my mother buying me clothes that was like 1 or 2 sizes bigger than me so that she wouldn't have to buy me clothes again for like a year or so, right? And I find myself doing that, not because I don't have money, but because I'm so programmed in the mind. The mind is like the main thing that holds people back from stuff. So that's crazy, right?
Yeah, dude. The programming is absolutely insane. And so dude, I'm glad you brought that up because this guy, and I can't remember his name. You have to. He was on Joe Rogan, so I don't remember his name. He's an older guy, and he talks about how our phones are the biggest mind control device on the planet. Now, really think about this. All right, what do you think? Okay, so let's just take something really simple. All right, type in a G on your phone. Go ahead, just type in a G in the search bar. Tell me what comes up. Tell me the first three or four things that come up.
Oh yeah, on Google. Okay, on Google. I went to like my WhatsApp. Let me see. G. Game Pill 1, Google Contact, Google Maps, Google Flights.
So 3 out of 4 are Google. You notice that?
Yeah.
Right? And then isn't it ironic that Google suggests XYZ and we say, well, they must think that I know that I like this thing or this person or this whatever. So maybe I should look at it. And then what happens is you make a decision on whether you should buy it or not. But now you're in the funnel of that product. It is this constant cycle that the only way, in my opinion, to break that cycle is one, to have a massive experience. Like, for example, I did ayahuasca twice in 2020. Mm-hmm. And I microdose regularly because it is, in my opinion, it's amazing. It's the best thing it's the most natural antidepressant. If it hadn't have been for microdosing, I wouldn't have pulled out of that depression, dude. That's just a fact.
Well, that's a really deep topic, right? And
yeah.
And yeah. I don't know what to say, man. Like, yeah, it's a deep topic. It helps.
Well, where do you stand on it? Where do you stand on spiritual medicine?
Bro, well, the biggest breakthroughs have been happening once I've tuned in with my spiritual being, right? Like with God and with my inner self, and once I like tap into the unseen, right? Because I believe that once you can understand the unseen, like things that happen in the physical world are like so easy, right? So where I stand with it is that, yeah, I've done it myself as well, and I've had a lot of realizations. So yeah, that's where I stand.
These realizations sometimes they're heavy. And I don't even mean like at the time, like actually the experience, and I won't get into that because I'll take forever, but the experience wasn't even the thing. It's the integration afterwards that you have to be aware of and pay attention to. And I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever, but the point is like you go, have you done ayahuasca?
No, I've done mushrooms.
Something similar. Okay. So mushrooms give you a similar experience, but there is a difference, right? And I don't know how to explain it. It's nuts.
It's a total reset, right? You just get out of this room.
Well, the thing is, like, in the love that you feel afterwards, like
exactly. The gratitude, the presence, right?
Oh, dude, it's so powerful. It's unlike anything I've ever felt before. That's God.
Now you know how it feels, and you can tap back into it.
Right. Yeah. 100%, dude. And you know, I know for me, I have the ability, and a lot of this has to do with ADHD. When I mentioned the superpower earlier, I can usually see 5 or 6 steps in front of normal people. You could probably do the same thing. In fact, I would be willing to bet money you could do the same thing. And let me explain what I mean by the 4 or 5 steps. Like if you see, like if a client comes to you and they say, well, I'm thinking about running ads on Etsy, not Etsy, right? And they're a construction worker, you're going to be like, I don't think that's the best idea, right? So the point is you've got to be able to guide. Actually, I lost what I was going to say, but I think I was going to say you got to be able to guide that person. I was going off on a tangent there. Now I completely lost it. The ADHD thing. Oh, the 5 steps ahead. So see, yeah. I lose myself and then I get 5 steps ahead and catch back up. But think about that. Can you see the problems that, like, a lot of people wouldn't be able to net? Those are 2 very contrasting businesses. Okay. So I gave you a really hard one, but the point is like you know when things are going to go sideways for your client, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're able to articulate it sometimes in a way that they get it, but maybe not always. Because it feels like their brain's just not quite caught up with how fast yours is running.
Exactly. It's just the level of awareness, right? And you talked about this earlier, like you're saying something from your perspective. That's why religion is so interpreted, because like the religion was spread from people who were like such a high level of awareness. And then, you know, they communicate from that level of awareness, but then everyone else who is a lower level of awareness has a completely different interpretation.
That's right. And nobody's right or wrong.
Exactly.
It's your interpretation. Like, I can't tell you that's right or wrong. It is what it is.
Yeah. So, man, I have 3 questions to ask you. I used to ask 5: mindset, map, motion, measure, money. Like everyone, that's what everyone's looking for. And I asked those 5 questions because, right, so to give it to them, right, because if you want money, if you want results in your life, you got to get your mindset right, your map, right, which is getting clear on where you are, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there, your motion, your habits, the action, the execution, and the measure, tracking, right? But I've asked that like 140 times. So I'm going to ask 3 different questions. I'm going to ask, the first one is, if you could give your 20-year-old self some advice, bro, what would you say?
Stop drinking.
Stop drinking?
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. There you go. Do you drink at all?
Absolutely not.
I've started to so look, a couple of months ago, like 9 months ago, I believe, like a year ago, I was at the bar with my girlfriend and with some friends, and I didn't drink, right? And I was like, well, this can be like the end of my drinking days. I'm like 20 years old. And I took a drink, and I took another drink, and then a couple of like an hour later, I was like in the fucking restroom doing cocaine, right? And it was like complete, like that was like shame and guilt and all of that. But I forgave myself, right? And then I didn't drink, and then I don't know, like I think I've made a breakthrough, and I've been able to come to terms with the fact that I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic anymore. I'm not an addicted anymore. So I've gone out with my wife, and we've gone out to dance, and I've taken like a couple of drinks, and I don't have any problem anymore. So I'm back, not like to drink. Like I can take a drink, but I don't drink. Like I'm not a drinker. I'm not like an alcoholic. So that's what I asked. Yeah, but
I would like to hit on that point really quick, because I'll be honest, I'm going to share probably something it's extremely controversial, because, and I really don't care, but I think AA is a bunch of shit, dude. Like, that's what I think. Like, I started out with AA. Don't get me wrong. I think AA has its place. And it had its place in my life. So I shouldn't make that first statement. I think AA is great for a very, very short amount of time. Here's why I don't think it's great. And you're going to understand this because you're a mindset dude. If I'm standing up every day saying I am an alcoholic, what do you think I'm going to identify as? An
An
alcoholic,
alcoholic.
a broken person.
Right?
And so when I realized that, and when I realized those two words and how powerful they were, I went, I am not ever going back to another meeting, and I will never say that again. And I haven't. And guess what? I don't have any desire. I drink non-alcoholic beer, like, which is really pointless. It's for the taste because there's no alcohol in it. So, but guess what? That's also one of the lies that they tell you. It's just, oh, if you have a non-alcoholic beer, you're definitely going to relapse. No, you're not. Just FYI, anybody out there listen? No, you're not. Because, well, I should say, for me, I didn't. Now, I was 6 years without a drink. Oh, no. Oh, I was probably 10 years without a drink before I ever tried a non-alcoholic beer because I was that scared.
Scared, exactly. Yeah.
Because of that, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid of it anymore, man. I'm like,
Yeah.
right? So like I used to drink because I just felt good, but I feel good just the way that I am right now, right? And yeah, and that's it. So yeah. And look, the most powerful human need is the need to remain consistent with your identity. So if you're walking around saying that I am an alcoholic, well, you're gonna have to remain consistent with that identity, and you're gonna drink, right?
That's right.
So, yeah. So, bro, I've tried to get Grant Cardone on my podcast and Gary J. White on my podcast, which are men that were really influential in my life, but I haven't been able to. So I started another podcast called Understanding a Modern Queen, and I've been able to get Elena Cardone and Danielle White to accept their wives to be on my podcast. And then I'm gonna ask, that's gonna help. I'm gonna ask for an introduction, and then it's gonna help. So my next question is, if you could, and part of being a modern gentleman, a modern king, is having your modern queen on your side, right? Like building this empire with you. That's why I started. That's another reason I started this podcast, Understanding a Modern Queen. So the next two questions is, if you could give a woman, right, some advice, so like a woman that is trying to become a modern king, modern queen, which is having it all, right? Like all those freedoms that I talked about. What would you say if you could give a woman some advice? What would you say?
I don't know how popular this is going to be, but this is the truth. And I couldn't give you any better of an answer. Like like my wife and I, 95% of the time, we know our roles. I think roles are vitally important to the function of a relationship. And this is why. If it is my role, for example, to discipline our child, and my wife takes that role, then what do I feel like? I feel like I don't have any, like my purpose is not there, for example. Or on the other hand, if we're both sharing that role, well, and I think she's punished my daughter and she thinks I punished our daughter, well, then the daughter walks for free, right? And nothing happens. So there's too much confusion when people don't know. And I'm not saying, well, you're a woman, you need to be in the kitchen. That's not what I'm saying, dude. I'm saying, like,
define roles.
Define roles. It's simple. Like, whatever your role is your role with your husband or wife or whatever at this point. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, and it shouldn't matter to you. Like, whatever you and your wife do is probably different than what my wife and I do. And that's cool. That's fine.
And let me add to that, roles can change, right? They can evolve.
I don't know about the roles because here's why I say that.
My wife used to, like, one of her roles used to be to take care of the house, right? But we started to make money. She's now, she's running a beauty salon. Now we make enough money to hire someone to take care of the house. So her role just changed.
She grew. The roles didn't change. You still have your role, and she still has her role as the mom and the dad and the husband and the wife. You still have your roles, just not in business, right? So think about your role in a relationship, right? You're the man. So there's certain shit that you're going to do that she's not going to do. For example, if a crocodile crawls up in your backyard, you might not be the guy to go get it, but you're going to go out there before she's going to go out there, right? Most of the time. And so, but that's how it's supposed to be. That's why we have testosterone and they do not. They do, but very small traces compared to us. And so it's also, and here's the other gender portion of this. When when you have a woman, like, let's just pretend that my wife and I were, we were balling out when we met, right? She was killing it. I was killing it. That was not the case, but let's just pretend it was. Well, now you got two people killing it, right? In business and in life. Well, who's the alpha? Because she's been the alpha in her relationship because she's been doing her own shit. I've been the alpha in my relationship because I've been doing my own shit. That's when it really is important to have roles clearly defined, because your wife may step into that masculine role when you don't need her to, or you may step into a feminine role when you don't need to, right? It can happen, and it does happen. And with people like you and I that are business owners and are trying to do big things, you got to have somebody that's on the same page with you. And communication is key if you're going to have a success. Dude, I'm on my third marriage. I will never, I'm the happiest I've ever been. We just renewed our vows after 7 years, right before Lions Den Live.
Awesome.
The day before.
Bro. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
And the last question is, if you could give a man, who's, some advice so that he can become a modern king or a modern gentleman, what would that be?
I would say be respectful. I think being respectful is one of the things that's, I hope it's not lost, but I do think that there's such a lack of respect for a lot of things. There's a lack of respect for just humanity. There's a lack of respect for the United States. I mean, what we hear on the news is entirely not, most of it's not true. And like, that's really disrespectful to the people in this country that they would allow that to go on and shape our minds for our own future. Now, that really got deep on you, and I apologize for that. But if you followed that, hopefully you did, and that made sense.
The silent majority, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Like, and I get it, dude. I get both sides, dude. I get both sides. Like, I really do. But guess what? Both sides are fucked up. Both sides. I don't care what anybody says. You can't tell me one side is better than, like, do I have my favorites? Of course. But that doesn't mean I'm right. I don't think anybody's right. I mean, we're essentially running a popularity contest for who runs our country. Right. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Respect. Awesome, bro. Awesome. So, man, I've had a lot of fun, man. I've had a lot of fun. So thank you very much for your time. We went, like over time. And I don't usually do this, man. But, I don't usually, I usually ask, like, hey, is it okay? Right. But so I hope I didn't disrespect you, man. Okay. It wasn't my intention.
Not at all, dude. Not at all.
And if people want to know more about you, right, and they want to know more about, like the sales stuff that you got going on, your sales coaching, or your sales CEO and all of that, your content and everything, that you got going on, where would be the best place to find you?
So they can go to, I'll give you a couple of places, but at CoryBerrier is pretty much where you can find me on just about every platform. It's just my first and last name. And then the tradeschools.com will be open shortly. Should be open by the end of next week. I don't know when this comes out, but it'll be open by the time this comes out.
I'm watching it here.
What?
The tradeschools.com?
Well, that's my site, but I haven't released what I sent you to the public necessarily.
Oh,
gotcha. It's okay. Like, it's totally fine. I want people to go to it, but it just got finished. Like the whole I don't understand all that stuff, dude. I pay people to do all that stuff. I don't. It works now.
It looks great, man. It's looking amazing. Yeah.
Appreciate that, dude. Yeah, dude. We work with contractors, and we do a weekly call. And it's just a great place for family. It's a great place to learn and how to grow your business. Like, it's a pretty good deal, dude. It's $300 a month. It's $10 a day.
Really? That the tradeschool.com?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's for anyone or for just contractors?
Anybody's gonna learn anything in there, but it's primarily for contractors. But I don't really care who joins.
Cool. Well, I'll check it out, man. And thank you very much for being there, man. For being here. I had a lot of fun. And yeah, I'll see you later, bro.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms